Okay, my cousin Candy asked if I could show everyone how to make a pecan pie like my mother used to make. But anybody that knows my mother knows that there is no certain recipe, but this is as close as I can come with it. But I think it does taste a lot like her pie. So first you have to take your pie crust. I'm fixing a pre-made pie crust rather than homemade. It'll make it a little bit easier for you. So you just leave it out about 15 minutes to let it get to room temperature. Unroll it very carefully in an ungreased 9-inch pie shell. Glass works best because it's a better conductor of heat. Your pie will cook more evenly. So put it in, press it down. Make sure to get it to the top of all the sides. Have your oven heating at 450 degrees. You're going to cook this for about 10 minutes. Okay. Then when you get it up to the sides, you can decorate it. You can use your fingers and pinch, or you can take a fork and go around it just to give it a little bit of a decorative edge. I like using a fork. It's just quicker and easier. It doesn't have to be perfect because being homemade, it isn't supposed to be perfect. Then take your fork, go around, pressing firmly to get the pie crust pressed in. Then take your fork, make little holes, and this keeps your crust from bubbling up and lets it lay flat. Put some along the sides and the bottom. Okay, there's one. Then we'll make another one just in case, because sometimes when you make these recipes, you come up with a little bit extra. So I always like to have one ready just in case. Sometimes you have to work it around. Okay. There we go. Then, like I said, pinch it over. Okay. Firmly take your fork, press along the sides just to make sure that it's on there firm. Go along the top. Okay, then poke your holes in the bottom again, along the sides. Okay, and what I like to do is take some aluminum foil, go along the top of the crust so that it doesn't burn by the time we pre-bake it and then bake it again with our pie, because we'll be cooking our pie filling on this one. Okay, So just take it, go around. What this does is go ahead and let the bottom cook, because a lot of times if you just put your pie filling in it, then and you go to eat your pie, the bottom is not very firm. So this eliminates that problem. So 450 degrees for about 10 minutes. If you have a pie shield, that works even better. But I don't have one, so I have to use aluminum foil. So I need to put that on my list. Okay. Set your timer, 10 minutes, and then we'll start making our pie. Okay, I got the crust out of the oven at 10 minutes. We wanted to cook it just long enough to let it set up at the bottom. That way it's not soggy whenever you go to eat it. So now we're going to add 4 tablespoons of butter, a cup of dark corn syrup. My mom always liked the dark. It has a lot more flavor. A 1/3 cup packed brown sugar. Make sure it's packed. And a 1/4 cup maple syrup. That gives it just a little bit more flavor. Okay. Now we'll put it on the stove at medium heat. Stir it till it comes to a boil. Break up the butter a little bit so it can melt faster. With all the syrups and the sugars, you need to really stir this or it will stick and burn. Most people just mix the ingredients up and they go ahead and pour it in their pie crust and bake it. That's the difference in this one. This one you actually bake your pie crust first. Then you actually cook your mixture and it lets everything meld in together. The sugars will melt, everything will melt, and it just seems to make it more smooth. It's a little more work, but definitely worth it. Okay, it's starting to melt now. We'll give it a minute. And while I'm doing this, I have my oven heating up to 350 this time. This is an old-fashioned recipe. Most people don't cook it anymore. They just mix it, put it in the pie pan. And as you can see, my pie crust, homemade, you don't want it to be perfect anyway. You'd like it to be perfect, but it usually won't. Starting to boil a little bit. You have to let it come to a good rolling boil and let it boil about a minute. There we go. We'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. A cup of pecans. Okay. Take it off the stove, let it cool just a minute. Don't want it to be too hot. We're going to crack these eggs. Whisk that around just a minute. Okay. We're going to whisk these eggs. If you don't, you try to pour them in that hot liquid, you're going to have scrambled eggs. So we'll mix them while that's cooling. We can turn this off. Pour these in slowly, very slowly, and mix. Just very slowly and blend. You can do this before or after you put the pecans in there. It doesn't really matter. Actually, the pecans kind of help beat it up a little bit. Okay, a little bit more. You definitely don't want to put these in fast because you will have bits of egg in your pie. And like I said, let it cool down just a little before you actually start adding the eggs. Just keep whisking till you get all the eggs incorporated in it. Then when you get it all incorporated, add it to your pie shell. And this is why I always make two. For the extra. If I was using a deep crust, it wouldn't be extra. Then you can take your pecans. You can kind of decorate it, go around, or just add you some extra on the top. For time's sake, I'm just going to add extra on the top. You can also make a walnut pie the same way, using walnuts instead of pecans. This one's just going to be a little one for the family. And you can never have enough pecans, so don't worry about that. Okay, now we've got a 350-degree oven. We're going to watch the crust to make sure we don't have to put our aluminum foil back on it again so that the crust doesn't burn. So now we're going to let it cook about 40 minutes. Alexa, cancel. Okay, my timers went off my oven, so we'll take our pecan pies out. We put them in for 40 minutes and then took them out and did an egg wash around the pie crust, and then put it back in for about another 15 minutes. You do the egg wash around the crust, that way it gives it a nice golden color. So this is our pecan pies. After they're done, and like I said, we cooked everything. We cooked the pie crust first, then we cooked our ingredients second, and then poured it in. And this lets everything meld together, and it gives it a very smooth pie. So that's how my mother always made the pecan pies, and everybody always asked her to do the pecan pies. So thanks for watching, and we will try to upload another video next week. I think we're going to try to do a charcuterie board with Allie, my granddaughter. So if you can come back and watch that, and we'll see you next week.